Is this good? Thank you. Well, hi. As you can see, I'm Dipali Mahesh from AdStream, now a part of Extreme Reach. I've been with the organization for over 6 years now, been with the media fraternity for over 2.5 decades. Been really fortunate actually to see this course-altering media transition that we are seeing in this media ecosystem. And why I say lucky is because I worked with publishers way back in the time when creative used to actually travel physically in the form of tapes, right, to a uplinking hub, most likely in another country. Cut to today, where I'm actually leading the business for deployment of an omni-channel platform, which actually enables you to move your creative at the same speed as media is consumed. Now, exciting, right? I mean, I know we are all seeing that happen. Can you move to the, yeah, sorry. So we are now, obviously, the one reason that all of us are in this room today is this one slide. We are all gunning after this online video user. In all forms, we are trying to track her or him. But is this online viewer actually worried about the content that she watches? Is it coming from a traditional TV network, or is it coming from a media tech giant, or is it coming from a retail, a billion-dollar retail empire, right? Not really. I'm sure not at all. I mean, they don't even know where that content is coming from. Plus, is she actually restricted by the device on which she is going to watch this content? No, not at all again, So as much as content consumption has gotten seamless for the viewer, it's added more fragmentation to our industry and therefore more challenges in your day-to-day life in terms of ad ops and many, many things. Why? Because multiple screens are there. There is more than, content is getting created by the minute. Multiple screens are there. And finally, there are disparate teams actually operating, between your TV delivery or basically linear delivery or digital. Someone's planning, someone's looking at attribution measurement, someone's looking at reach measurement. Different teams are working on the creative, different teams are working on media, deployment, all of that. And when all of that is happening, we know that TV, in terms of everywhere, anywhere, anytime, is definitely a reality because that's how it's been consumed, right, currently. But is your creative supply chain actually geared up for this, for sufficing or providing for this change that is going around rapidly so? Basically, the more pertinent question is, are we there yet? All right. Of course, our industry, automation is obviously the key in our industry. We all agree that wherever human intervention is not required, human strategy is not required, we're obviously going to put machines at work. And that's happening in most of the processes, in our ad ops process, in our branding, creative creation, all of that is happening, definitely. But there are still so many processes which are stuck in legacy systems. We are still stuck in a legacy system. For example, you look at video ad serving, you look at creative production, you look at TV ad delivery. All these are supposed to actually serve one single purpose. That being that your creative has to be sourced, your creative has to be prepped, it has to be obviously approved and then deployed or served in whichever form or manner that the publisher requires, in the right spec and in compliance. Simple, it all sounds like a simple process. But because these teams even if they're serving a single process, or they're actually meant to serve a single process, these teams still work in silos. And what that means for us is that all of these teams are not talking to each other. And in the lack, because of the lack of this simplified, or rather, for lack of a simplified or unified system, it's actually putting a strain on our teams. They're not talking to each other. They're not, they're not communicating, or rather not accessing the same central piece of information. We're actually looking at, there's this content explosion right now. So these teams are actually looking at, they're making good with whatever processes they have today. But there is a huge content explosion happening. And truly speaking, add to that the marketing tech stacks that are right now. The tech stacks around us are seriously Frankenstein. They're monstrous. They're actually adding more strains to this team who are actually making everything or taking every step possible to make the best of what they have. But this is actually adding more strain to the teams, making them slower, lack of innovation, or impeding innovation, impeding scalability. All of that is just true. So what we are trying to say is that if there was one unified system in order to operate with speed, efficiency, and also have control, you basically need to converge all of this deeply fragmented, in this growing media ecosystem that is deeply fragmented yet converging. You need a unified approach, which is like a tool, which is more forward-looking. Basically, unify all your processes into one single creative to media supply chain, right? So if that was to happen, how can it happen? And it comes from a very simple word, which is connection, just connect. And what we mean by connection primarily is, we are saying here that the modern approach, you might say this is a forward-looking tool, etc., but it's a very simple thing. You just basically have to integrate all the interdependent workflows that are there in your entire video activation campaign system into one single chain primarily. And then find ways of automating every step possible. Wherever you can automate, please look forward to automation processes. Integrating all of these fragmented workflows through one supply chain is the only way that you will be able to respond faster to the changing consumption patterns of the viewer. You want to creatively change your creative quickly, send it off to one destination. You realize that there is a potential consumer sitting on one screen, now shifting to another. Are you able to actually modify or transport your content as fast as she or he is consuming the media? And what do we mean by connection? Well, this is exactly what connecting looks like. When we look at connecting all of these fragmented, disintegrated workflows in one process, it basically means to place your creative at the center, all right? The creative has to be at the center of your process, and not whether the creative is going to run on TV, digital, social, any platform. Your creative is centered, and then all the elements that a marketer would need, basically all the elements that a marketer would need to make sure that your cross-screen campaigns are successful. You could have the need for various tools at various given points in time. And this is exactly the aim of Extreme Reach. Our aim is to basically simplify the TV and digital video workflow into one unified single creative to media supply chain, which basically addresses and helps you with all the tools that you might need at various stages. Now, what are the tools that you might need? Obviously, when you start with creation and production, there are tools that you might need pre-production. After your production is done, after your creative is ready, you might need post-production support. You might need, for example, versioning. You might need subtitling. You might need versioning tools. All of those tools are actually married into this single platform. And this is exactly what we call creative logistics. Now, just to take a standard brand brief through this journey to give you an understanding of where we are and how the experts at ER are going to help you, because we've been doing this and solving these complexities for the last 15 years. And we've added these tools gradually basis the marketer's needs. So there is a versioning. For example, you have a creative ready and you quickly want to do a conversion or get a transcode for a mobile app. Well, we have the option for you to get it automatically. There's an automation tool available on the workflow to get it done. You want to version it for, let's say, visually impaired or hearing impaired audience. We have the option. You want to actually look at traffic clearance or basically censorship as we call it here, but in other parts of the world there is a clearance process involved by broadcast federations, etc. We have that service right here on this very same platform. Well, finally, if you also need a marketing tool, if you need an asset management, and finally, all of it then goes and flows into your asset management system. And why would you need an asset management system today? Because basically getting all your creative and your data through a workable, trackable workflow has its own benefits. Okay, when all your assets and all your data connected to the asset resides on one flow. When I mean data about your asset, all the information around your rights and user management, your compliance, contracts, your details about, what celebrity engagements, all that you have, all of that resides along, all the metadata as we call it in our parlance, it resides with the same asset on the same workflow. And getting both of these through the same platform for your internal and external teams basically means they're looking at the same information at any given time. First thing is going to get you rid of your workflow inefficiencies. When I say workflow inefficiencies, obviously your teams are no longer scrambling across systems. Okay, where is this creative? Where is that format? I need this spec, I need that spec. No, no longer. It is all baked into one single. All that you need is one master spec, just one master spec. And from that master spec, you can shoot out your creative to digital, to social, to linear, to OTT, whichever way. I mean, I know these terms are interchangeable and subsets of each other, but yes, basically all video, right? Second, teams are now talking and looking at the same set of information on the same platform. The brand team, the ad ops team, the creative team, the media team are all looking at one single brand campaign detail and all the metadata in one platform bases the user access. Third, it is actually going to take away, you're directly serving from the master file. You're serving directly from your master file. So having a very powerful ad server connected to your, to your Fluid asset management portal basically brings everything together, thereby increasing your speed to launch, as well as optimizing almost tenfold. Because right now, you're not wasting any lead time in figuring out where my content is, what are the rights around it, can I actually take it to another country, can I actually publish it, my versioning, I have to take it out and I have to version it for a different platform. No longer, all of this is happening practically in real time as we speak it. And mind you, all of this is trackable. So you're also keeping track of where and how did I actually lose time or my cost got increased. There is a cost model also. We also have the feature of attaching a cost model, which basically means that you are actually plotting your ROI to the last rupee. You're putting everything that's connected. Every delay is accounted for. Every production cost is accounted for, right, in all of that. Creative changes. I mean, Chanpreet, yesterday she was talking about how media verticals need to change their tune-ins by the day, literally, right? I mean, think of a media vertical is actually like, let's take IPL, for example. Depending on who wins the match, the tune-in changes for the next day, right away. Now, these are very short creative windows and with very little margin for error, quickly to change around the asset, quickly to tweak the asset, quickly to change it to suit your screen requirement, quickly to suit your viewer requirement. All of that can be done right on the same platform. Imagine your creative swaps happening like in real time. Having all of that residing together, it just helps you create and recreate, redeploy, reuse, version, and actually add up all the elements that you might need for efficiently, executing your cross-screen campaigns. So no longer are you restricted by which screen you are wanting to carry the content on. No longer are you restricted by what are my compliance measures. No longer are you restricted. Finally, insights. Now, the most, probably the most critical of them all is the insights. I mean, we were ourselves surprised when we saw the data that actually we can skim off the creative, when the creative completes its journey, all the information that can flow back into the platform. This basically makes all of the information, you can actually drive creative insights, and some of them are really, mind-boggling. I mean, we were actually surprised. And which actually adds up to more of your understanding or upstream flow of data in terms of a particular campaign or even right down to a particular creative. You can actually see how many times the creative was redeployed, how many times the creative was redeployed, or where all was it version, or did a local region, did I like download and create a, did I send it out to even a digital outdoor, I could actually redeploy this in so many different screens anywhere outside. Within and outside the typical linear. So we don't just do linear and digital video. We also handle print and digital OH. But I'm right now focusing more on video because, like Rishi said yesterday, video is the way the world's going. So obviously the focus here is on video, which seems to be by far the most preferred format currently for any multi-screen campaigns. So basically, I just put together, in the interest of time, I put very few of the key insights that we actually can draw today and are drawing for almost 70% of the top 100 global brands in the world. ER actually services more than 70% of the top global brands, top 100 global brands. And these are some of the elements for which we are the preferred partners, right, in terms of both digital asset management, video ad serving. I mean, basically, when we say digital ad serving, we mean both linear and digital. So for even a DAM workflow, we are the preferred partners. Now, you might ask, how this is really relevant, but if you look at that single dashboard I'm showing you on the right, you can actually from there infer how many of your creatives actually got deployed in which part of the world, which creative went further down into which region. So for example, you see top 5 creatives that have been used on the right, extreme right corner. It just shows you which asset was used the maximum, which creative, when I mean asset, I mean creative, which creative asset was used to the maximum extent, obviously driving the highest ROI for that asset, which creative asset was wasted. It's been our classic inference, which most often surprises brands. They're really shocked when we go back and tell them, like, did you know that 30% of the content that you created last year never got used? Shocking, extremely shocking. Some of the advertisers actually asked us for more, more investigation on that and more, deep dive into that statement that we made. But that's a fact. We are able to track which assets just were produced and did not ever see the light of the day because, for whatever reasons. So asset wastage is something, very simple information, obviously, which comes straight from the metadata around the asset, which is which creative agency, which production house, which celebrity do I have, and how long is the contract? Can I use this celebrity for another country? Do I have the rights to use this celebrity content for another platform? It's right at your fingertips. You do not have to go back to look your emails, manual steps. You don't have to go to spreadsheets anymore. You do not have to go to your messages anymore. You don't have to go to WhatsApp conversations anymore. It's already automated workflow at your fingertips. You could, of course, look at, if you're a global brand, you obviously want to know, toolkits, brand safety toolkits are very pertinent for global brands. They want to make sure. So we have something called a storyboard representation, which actually cuts down everything. You just can compare, each storyboard, what has actually happened in each country. Shiny, have 2 more slides. Which content is used, which content is not used, I talked about that. Obviously, which ROI, the best ROI, and which adaptation. So adaptation by country. The reason I wanted to actually take 2 more minutes is for a very key slide that I wanted. And okay, this is slightly expanded, if in case the earlier slides were too fine for not legible enough. Just the toolkit production. It primarily plots everything. Like you can see here, you have the campaign info for the by region, the adaptations, amplifications, the media spend, distribution, VOD impressions. Because we deliver, or rather because we ad serve, because we deliver TV, because we put in production campaign costs also on the same platform, this is the wholesome picture that you will get on your dashboard. If you are, if you are a brand head or if you are the head of marketing on a couple of brands, you'll obviously see everything at one go. And finally, something that's right hot off the press in India especially. This is something that we are working, or rather my analytics and insights team is actually working on. We've deployed, actually, we've created some AI reporting around ethnicity and basically we can give you the asset or rather asset breakup by terms of age, gender, ethnicity, depending on the models or depending on the talent that you've used. Some of this information is very critical for global brands as we move further on the diversity and inclusion ethos as practices that we want to now go ahead with. Many brands are coming to us with this understanding. They want to know what is the percentage by ethnicity, gender, breakdowns, all of this. This information as a tool that we've, through our AI tools, we are actually handing over to brands, straight up. So just to, reiterate, I'm done. Reiterate, it's all in there on one platform, whether connected, OTT, mobile, AVOD, addressable, linear. Bringing it all together is just going to bring more efficiency to your workflows, more information to you, more power to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dipali.